What's up, everybody? Jesse here with a quick tutorial on kinetic typography. Now, I was trying to think of some clever way to illustrate what kinetic typography is, but my mind went blank and I couldn't come up with anything. So let's just jump right in. Okay, so let's just jump in here, and if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and I'll be sure to call on you. Kinetic typography, that's such a pretentious sounding term, but what it means is it's essentially moving text. It's this animation technique mixing motion and different fonts and typography. And what's cool about this technique is because you have the ability to animate the words, you can illustrate the idea behind the word through the motion that you give the word. So, for example, if the word is fast, you can make that text fly across the screen really quick. If the word is disappear, you can make the word disappear. You can make the word disappear, if that makes sense. You can fade it off the screen. That wasn't a very good example. So let's look at some examples of kinetic typography that you may have seen out in the world. So this one's from Ford.
I figure the engineers who built the all-new '09 F-150 are probably the same guys we all cheated off of in science class.
Right. So there's this real play of the visual and audio going on at the same time. Probably one of the most current examples of kinetic typography would be this music video that hit the web a few months ago. Oh, that's loud. And if you just go onto YouTube and kinetic typography, there's a lot of examples here. So I've been doing this a bit for some of my commercial work. It has a real kind of like edgy punchiness to it, and it works well for this particular client. So let's just jump in and create a little kinetic typography project, and I'll show you some tips and tricks, or tricks and tips, depending on how you roll. The first thing I want to say is that you may notice that it is now, there's sort of a fuzz in the background of this recording in the audio. I had to turn the air conditioning on because it is so hot today. Look at that. 103. Ridiculous. So I apologize for the audio quality, but I gotta have the air on or I will melt. So let's make some magic now. I had Lynn call my phone and leave me a voicemail. I said, give me something about kinetic typography. And this is what I got.
Kinetic typography is so last year.
And so that's what we're going to use. You can click down and see the waveform here. This is the waveform we're going to use to sort of be a visual guide to where the endpoints of the words are going to go. I should also say that you do need to have some sort of familiarity with After Effects to follow along here. I'm not going to call out every mouse click and every shortcut that I'm using. This is more of just to get the general idea of how to put something like this together. Thankfully, it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. And you start with text objects that are all on their own layer. So let's go ahead and create that right now.
Kinetic typography.
So without any regard for the placement, I'm just going to create these words, and for the record I'm using, what font is this? A body MT condensed. Let's go Futura. Is that what I want? Let's try that. That's kind of been my font of the week, Futura. What am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm creating the words on, it's important to have each word on its own layer so you can animate them separately. So let's do that right now.
Kinetic typography.
By the way, Command T is the shortcut for the text tool. Is so last year. Oops. Year. Period. Okay. Kinetic typography is so last year. She's a wannabe hipster. Okay, so now endpoints. Now using this waveform as a guide, I'm simply going to move the endpoints of each layer to correspond with the endpoint of the word.
Kinetic.
And you can do that by clicking and dragging the layer, or you can use the left bracket key and it'll set the endpoint automatically to where the time indicator is.
Kinetic type.
I hope you guys can hear me okay. All I hear is the air conditioner right now, buzzing in my ears. A sweet, sweet, cool buzz.
Typography
is right in there somewhere. That's so last
year.
I want the text to come up right when the word begins in the audio portion. Sometimes I'll adjust it if there's a quieter or softer syllable at the beginning of the word, and sometimes you can move the text to hit the portion of the word that is emphasized, and that gives it a little bit more punch and makes it feel like it's timed out a little bit better. But already we have something that's starting to get somewhere.
Kinetic typography is so last year.
Not bad. Is a little late. Okay, so now we need to do some layout here because that looks bad. Now, you should know that I am not a designer, but I'm a big fan of design. But please take my designs with my layout here with a grain of salt, because when it comes to design, I'm just sort of mashing the keyboard really with my big Neanderthal fists that I have. But let me give you a few tips on design. Now that I've told you I'm not a designer, I'm going to hit Command R to bring up these nifty rulers here, and you can click and drag just like in Photoshop and make some awesome little grids here. Oh, I should say that it might be easier to do the design ahead of time in Illustrator and then just import your Illustrator project as a composition into After Effects, and you'll have your whole layer stack there, and you can get started animating right away. I kind of like using After Effects to do the design, because sometimes the way that I animate the words sort of informs what the final design looks like, and it's kind of hard to predict that stuff in Illustrator or Photoshop. So basically what I'm starting with here is I'm just going to sort of create some different word sizes and try to get sort of a grid pattern going. And I'm using these guides. They're kind of hard to see because they're blue on green. So let me make a black layer here so you can see those better. Okay, so now I'm not going to make you watch me limp along with the design necessarily. I've got, just like in a cooking show, I've got one already laid out. So I'm going to pull that out of the oven right now. Okay, so in the interest of time, I've just sort of sped forward here. That's my final layout, and that's what I'm going to work with for animating this stuff. Now, notice that I broke up typography into the different syllables. So here's what we have so far.
Ugh, kinetic typography is so last year.
Now, for the fun part. So what I want to do is animate this block of text as the words come in. So you may have the first word kind of be big and full screen, and then as the next word comes in, it moves out of the way to make room. Sort of gives it that dynamic feel that you saw with at the beginning of this video. So create a new null layer or null object, and I'm going to select all the words here and parent those words to the null object. Okay, so now by moving or scaling this null object, all the children layers or the parented layers follow suit. Okay, so let's add some sauce. Okay, so the first word is That is a word that I am fond of. You'll hear me say that a lot in this tutorial. So let's move that right to the center. Kablamo! Let's make it big. Too big. Now remember, I'm using the null layer. I'm moving the null layer around. I'm not moving the actual... I'm not touching the layer. It's parented to the null layer, and so I'm going to be animating the null layer. Now this is where we kind of get into any sort of secret sauce. That's another technical term. So you have sauce, and then secret sauce is sort of your own take on the sauce. Here's what I like to do. I like to move each word out of the way right before the next word comes in. Here's what that looks like. So kinetic comes in right here. So I'm going to back up, let's say 3 frames. Set a keyframe there for position. And right when kinetic comes in, that's where that will stop. And that's what it looks like. Kazing. Ka-ching. So starts to move, and right when it stops, clunk, kinetic appears. And then what I've also been doing with this type of animation is adding a custom easing equation. Check this out. Ease and Whiz. You definitely need this little plugin. It gives you all these fantastic options for different easing equations. I'm not going to go into what easing is. There's a lot of great resources for learning about that on the internets. But I've been using Circ. And so I'm just going to apply that to the position. And this gives the motion a little bit more. It accelerates and decelerates a little bit quicker. It gives it sort of like a punchy sort of feel. Okay, so let's move ahead. Kinetic, next word is, it's syllable, typography. So again, start at the endpoint of that layer, the type layer, back up 3 frames, set a keyframe, which this value and this value is going to be exactly the same. So you can copy paste if you want, copy paste. Move it forward to where type comes in and just punch it up a little bit more. Make some more room. Og is the next one. Okay, so it looks like we're running out of screen space a little bit here because we've sort of punched in on this text block. So this would be a good time to do a scale instead of a position move. So basically the same thing. Start at the endpoint of this next layer, go back about 3 frames, set a scale keyframe. We might need to set a position keyframe as well, because we'll probably end up moving that. Pump forward here. I'm putting a vertical guide right here on the edge, just so when I scale it down, I can match it up to that edge again. And then again, let's make sure to apply the easing expression. My sexy easing expression right there. Complicated stuff. I don't know what it means, but it makes the movement look cool. Okay, so now we have a scale move. Let's have a look. Not bad. Okay, so we got another syllable coming in. Raw. I'll set a position keyframe and maybe just punch it up ever so slightly. Next one is fee. So we'll do the same thing again. And here's what we have so far.
Kinetic typography is
Looking good, eh? It's kind of building out. Okay, so let's do another scale because we're running out of room. But this is cool. This is cool. Here's something we can do. Is kind of big, so maybe let's scale is up and the text block down. So let's set some scale keyframes for is, and we'll just have it scale up. It's left justified right now. It's going to scale from wherever its anchor point is, and right now you can see it's left justified. The anchor point is over here on the left side, so that's where it's going to scale from. You see it when I turn this value down all the way down to 0. Disappears into the anchor point. So now is pops up, but at the same time I want this whole text block to scale down. So let's set scale and position keyframes for that. Oops. Grab my null. Is scales up and the text block scales down. Kinetic typography is looking good. Okay, so with the way she reads it's kind of drawn out. And you can see I've got extra O's here. So rather than have that just pop on screen, I think it'd be cool if it's sort of spelled out. Now, After Effects includes all sorts of great text presets for animating text. Another Google search and you will be able to find them. Or under your Effects and Presets panel, you can go down to Text. And all of these are different types of text animations that you can just click to apply. Let's see what this one does. So this is a good resource, but you know, with any sort of preset, don't overdo it. We're not going to use that preset though. I'm going to use this typewriter preset. Typewriter, animate in. And with this layer selected, just double click. That's the double click sound. And you can see that it's got keyframes already set. And there you go. And we need to make some more room here, so let's go ahead and move our null up again. And that moves the whole chunk. We probably need to scale this down again. Let's go ahead and do that as well. So now our move looks like so. And then there's 2 more words. I think this is pretty simple. Let's just move the null up like so, and then move it up 1 more time. Okay, so let's see what we have. Quick render.
Kinetic typography is so last year.
So's a little off.
So,
Let's have a look at the waveform again. So it starts here,
so,
and it doesn't end till about here. So I need this keyframe to be extended. Let's try that.
kinetic typography is so last year. Kinetic typography is so last year.
It's a little better. Okay, so that's it. That's where I'm going to leave it. I'm impressed that nobody had any questions. I didn't see any raised hands at all. There are so many different ways to do this, and that's kind of the fun part of it. There's endless ways to animate ideas. This is one, but let this be sort of a starting point for you. Go nuts, have fun, play around. Take a particular word and add some of your own secret sauce to it. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. And hit me up on Twitter or on my blog if you have questions. Later.
Kinetic typography is so last year.
What's up guys, Swift here, and today I got another tutorial on episode 4 of my series Road to be an Editor. And in this episode I'm going to show you how to make screen flashes and screen pumps. So before we get started again, I've got someone in the call. I've got Rome Toma to say hi.
What's up guys? I don't know.
Alright, so I'll just show you guys a preview of this effect, so here it is. That was it there. You got screen pump and then screen flash and so on. Start off, we'll make a new composition. I'm going to call it tutorial. I'll drag in my song and drag in my clip. I want to click LL on my song, bring up the waveform. You can see, zoom in a little bit. You can see these beats here. So I want to sync those beats with the song, so I want to drag that closer. Now what I want to do is I want to go on the first beat, which is right here. I want to click Shift 1 on my keyboard, or you can drag here, the new marker, just drag it across to where you want. And there's another beat here, I want to go Shift 2. Here, Shift 3, Shift 4, Shift 5, and Shift 6. So we got the markers, we've got 6 markers on the beats until the clip ends. Now what I want to do is I want to click S on my clip to bring up the scale. I want to go to the first marker. I want to go back 1 frame, I want to keyframe at 100, go forward 1 frame and click make it 110. Then I want to go halfway between the first marker and second marker, so about here, make it 100. And the second marker, 4th marker and 6th marker will be the screen flash, so I'm not going to do a scale beat there, because I want to keep that for the flash. So now what I want to do, I just want to highlight those keyframes on the first marker, Control C and Control V on the third marker. I want to line it up so then the scales up on the beat right there. Now I want to go to the 5th marker, Control V, zoom it in and bring it back. So that's the scale done. Let's just Ran preview this to see how it looks. Alright, that's it. That's pretty nice. What I'm going to do is right click on the project area, go to new, go to solid, and this part you can change the color. So if I want a white screen flash, white, red, blue, whatever you want, I'm going to keep it black. Click OK, and I want to go to the second marker, click T on the black solid, go back one frame, make it 0, keyframe it, forward one frame, and make it 100, and then go about the same distance as the scale. So I'm going to go about here, and then make it 0. So again, Control C, go to the fourth marker, Control V, line it up, 6-1, and Control V, line it up, run preview again. So that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed and learned something on this tutorial. Leave a like and comment on this episode. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.